Not even Taylor Swift can escape the culture wars, as yet another Taylor Swift backlash is brewing, this time revolving around her relationship with friend Matt Healy and his controversial podcast appearances, particularly his remarks on Ice Spice, which Taylor Swift has ignored and instead decided to collab with her on a hit single, prompting many fans to say, "How dare you? This is a textbook example of white woman feminism, profiting off of a person of color. It's convenient, manipulative, and continues to shield and protect white men." Maybe we're just learning something far more interesting about Taylor Swift. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. Now, I used quotations for relationship because there's already reports saying that they broke up. Taylor Swift says it's over with Matt Healy, but she's not saying it's over because of these comments. In fact, I'm unclear if they were ever really together in the first place. Were they just close friends? Were they friends with benefits? All I know is Taylor doesn't like talking about her relationships unless it's in her music, right? And so the truth is, I don't know if they were ever really together. I don't know if he just became closer friend after the breakup. All we know is that Matt Healy's comments has upset some of the fans, especially his remarks about Ice Spice. So Taylor's sudden collab with Ice Spice has fairly raised a lot of eyeballs. Is it on purpose? Was it to hide up her friendship with Matt Healy? At the end of the day, Taylor Swift has remained silent, though, about these controversies from her friend, alleged boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, Matt Healy. And should she be held responsible for the things that Matt or any of her friends have said? Look, I'm a big Swiftie. I don't hide it. I saw her on her Reputation tour. I saw her at the Eras tour. I know that Taylor has faced backlashes before in her career. She's that popular, of course she's going to start facing criticism. And this time she's facing criticism based on her association with somebody and how she's reacted to it. Now, I got to say right out the gate, I am a fan of Taylor. I love her music, and I'm going to support her here. Her and her fans may not like that, the fact that I like Taylor almost more throughout this, but hey, Taylor, I got your back, and I think more people should, because what I'm very impressed by in this story is that she has not just bowed down to a mob demanding that she respond to what her associates have said. Unless Taylor herself has done it, I don't see how it's relevant. But let's break down all the drama and let's talk about it, because I think Taylor is instead being a brilliant businesswoman here. And yeah, I say kudos, nice work. So what's happening? Who's Matt Healy? Let's explain this. All right, so Matt Healy is a singer for the 1975. He's their lead singer. And yeah, he's been friends with Taylor for a while. And more recently, fans have seen them cozying up together at concerts. We've seen her with him with her parents and stuff, and fans are seeing it happen, and they're not liking it. A lot of them on Twitter or elsewhere are upset that Taylor's, getting cozier with this guy due to his long history of problematic comments. The biggest things were these appearances on this Adam Friedlander show. And apparently the podcast was so controversial, Spotify and Apple Music took the clips, the episode away. It's still on YouTube, but I got to be careful of how I say it. Obviously, guys, I'm sorry. I listened to it, and yeah, they're mocking nationalities. They're trying to assume what Ice Spice is, and they're mocking her. They use accents, Chinese accents. They later make fun of, use Japanese accents. They ask if she's an effing Eskimo. Yeah, it doesn't sound great. Doesn't sound great, but I don't hear Taylor in it. Okay. I also don't know if Taylor and Matt are an item. They're just friends. I got a lot of friends that say stupid stuff. Doesn't mean I endorse them. Are we now judged by our friends? By who I got a massive problem with that. I don't think Taylor needs to apologize for anybody that she's friends with. I just don't. You can be friends with somebody and disagree with things they've said. And the stuff I think he talked about was just, it doesn't sound good, especially today's political climate, or really any climate, but it's just dudes messing around thinking that it's funny. And I can see why people would be offended by it. But again, it doesn't seem like cancel worthy to me. It just seems like, all right, well, I don't like this guy then. Fine. Don't like that guy. Doesn't mean Taylor Swift should be canceled. But yeah, they call Ice Spice a chubby Chinese lady, which she's not. Then they mock accents. And yeah, it was so offensive that I guess and got triggered by so many fans that Apple and Spotify pulled it. Later in the same episode, they mocked Japanese accents, which I heard, and they do. I'm not going to mimic it because then someone will try to cancel this whole episode. And then later, yeah, in another episode, I can't even show you this, he casually admitted to, taking care of himself. And the content he was watching was extremely intense with black women in it. And yeah, they were pretty much like not treated nicely, like really not treated nicely. I'm afraid to say the word but yes, just being, intense. Now, I don't like it. I went to the site just to see so I could understand, and it bothered me. Like, I'm like, damn, that's too much. I don't like this. At the same time, I'm like, well, I guess these models signed up for it, but then there's questions about the site itself as to whether is the site actually good? Are these women not being treated fairly in these sites and being sort of having to do it? Anyway, the content wasn't great, and he talks about how, yeah, that's what he was watching when someone walked in on him, and it was embarrassing, to say the least. Of course, dude, because that was sort of the story. And I don't know if he's exaggerating or what, but yeah, again, this Matt guy clearly has extreme tastes, isn't afraid of offensive jokes, and what he does in his private time with things that are on the internet that aren't illegal, not really my business. Again, why is this about Taylor Swift? Why is this about Taylor Swift? So they were very upset by all these appearances because she remained silent. And fans were saying she's just another complicit white woman. And some fans canceled their pre-orders for the album and sold their tickets. Clearly not that many, but just because she wouldn't respond to her association with Matty. And why should she? This doesn't make any sense. But where things get interesting is that, yes, even Matty has made some comments about Taylor. Here's an interview he did where, yeah, he's like, dating Taylor Swift would have been emasculating for me. He gives us a long quotes, but effing hell, if I'd gone out with Taylor Swift, I would have been effing hell. I'm not being Taylor Swift's boyfriend. F that. There's also a man thing, a emasculating thing. But yeah, I mean, duh. Any dude who goes out with Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Joe Alwyn, they're Taylor Swift's boyfriend. She's the bigger star, and yeah, for some guys, they're not gonna be able to handle it. And I think that's what he was sort of commenting on. But maybe he's grown and changed his mind because he realizes Taylor Swift's a badass. Maybe, right? Maybe. But yeah, all of these things that I've said have now made Taylor look bad, and were things. BuzzFeed has a whole thing here where they're trying to make her guilty because Matty's friends that he endorsed on a podcast have, made a lot of really mean comments about Taylor. And to be fair, yeah, they don't like Taylor. Not a fan of what they said. They say a lot of stuff. I'm going through it. A lot of this, like, trying to damn Matt Healy article is just guilt through association of things that you said. Because he wore a hat of theirs and at one point, I think, shared the podcast, he is now guilty of everything that the podcast says. And sorry, I don't subscribe to that. I'm skipping a lot of this because I don't have any idea what this has to do with it. Details of the episode resurfaced. Matty's support for the podcast and close connection to Dasha while in a relationship with Taylor has left many baffled. Why should she date him? She has no self-respect whatsoever. Can't imagine my boyfriend being friends with someone who would mock me in any way, and even worse, my mom. Yeah, sure, these guys aren't great, but how do we know what their relationship is? Matty's and Taylor's, let alone Matty with these two podcast hosts. This is absurd. But Matty himself has also made other comments. And I want to play this comment because this is where I start to appreciate Taylor. Like, the fact that this guy's out here saying this about Taylor and Taylor's still with him makes me think that Taylor's even cooler than I realized. Let's listen to this.
I think you kind of see it a little bit with Taylor. I've never slagged Taylor off. I think Taylor's amazing. And Taylor, I want to produce your next album. I've always wanted to do
She's a big fan of this podcast, so she's hearing this.
Great. Thing is, they'll wait until something's been woked enough to feel like you're making a statement when you're not.
Yeah.
I think that the climate or that Taylor Swift song about supporting gay people didn't come out 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It didn't. It came out when we all kind of knew that, or not that we knew that. It's not that there's a long way to go for gay and bi and queer and trans people in this world, but culture
It was more
has
okay.
caught up to it. Marks and Spencers do like a gay sandwich. So when you're at that point, you pretty know that you're kind of not really making a statement. So it's kind of like, I don't really care what those guys are doing. Like, it's not that I don't have respect for any of those people. I think they're great. Like, anybody whose music can appeal to that many people, I have a lot of respect for. It's also like, one of my points was that what annoys me more is when people don't put any social observation in their music, then go and do an interview and expect to be listened to when they talk about it.
100%. So the things he's saying, I'm like, yeah, I agree with that fake activism. I don't think she's really done that a ton, but I feel like, she's always been careful with her brand. Her father and others have helped her protect her brand. And that's been a big deal about it. And I don't fault her for it. And I don't think he's faulting for it, but he's sort of showing how hard it is for big commercial artists to be that way. And I would argue back that, well, it's hard for her to do anything like that because she'll lose fans whenever you do anything like that. And she decided to do it anyway. So good for her. Good for her. She did what she believed. But I think the fact that she heard this and is still with this guy and friends with him, and they get to have a conversation about it in private where we don't get to understand what she thinks, it makes me more happy to say, all right, she's not just living in an echo chamber. She's surrounding herself with people who might criticize her. Good for her, man. Good for her. But where things take the turn, and this is what I want to get to, is this sort of claim about Ice Spice. She's being accused now of insidiously being calculating, announcing this collab with Ice Spice 3 months after Matty made those comments on the Adam Friedlander show. And Adam later fueled the theory that Taylor only worked the rapper because of what was said on the podcast. So here we're the criticism. And here's an interesting one. Taylor has never collaborated with a black woman in her 17th career, and now she does for this, and the timing is telling, calculated. And again, Taylor has failed to address the comments Matt Healy made towards Ice Spice, and then finding a way to profit off of her with a new collab. It's a textbook example of white woman feminism. It's convenient, manipulative, and continues to shield and protect white men. Now, here's where you lose me. Sorry, Taylor Swift's not profiting off of Ice Spice. I know Ice Spice is like the next new thing, but Ice Spice is profiting off Taylor Swift. And she has her own choices. I'm sure she was well aware of the comments made. And therefore, she came, talked to Taylor about it, probably talked to Matt about it, and decided to take the gig and get tons of money from Taylor Swift. And for me, what a better response than the blanket, oh yeah, Matt made the mistake and he's apologetic, blah, blah, blah. He's clearly not. How about instead, let's all have a grown-up conversation about it. Oh, Ice Spice, I'm really actually a big fan of yours now that I've learned about you through this controversy. Do you want to come do a song with me? Because you would make this killer. You're going to get paid a lot of money, too. Cha-ching, cha-ching. How is that not empowering Ice Spice and the best business move one could make? I'm sorry. I don't see it as calculating a little bit. Sure. Mastermind. Has Taylor not told us she's a mastermind? She is. Brilliant business move, Taylor. Again, all this is just making me like her more. She's not afraid to stick by her friend who's made some stupid comments. She hasn't made those comments, but she's clearly more of a man of the person, man of the people. She can be there in the mud and hear it, and not be offended and overly sensitive. She can have real conversations. And then when the S hits the fan, oh yeah, Matt, this is bad. You know what though? Let's talk to her. Let's get her on a song. Brilliant. Brilliant. I gotta say, yes. Do I think that there was some calculation in this? Absolutely. Do I falter for it? Not at all. Brilliant. Brilliant move. And then, even this guy gets back, this is Adam Friedlander, and he writes, "You're welcome." I mean, brilliant response on his part. I don't believe he and Taylor were in cahoots, but I think everybody was just smart, Ice Spice included, and everybody got a win out of this. Ice Spice isn't playing victim. She clearly doesn't feel like she's a victim. She just got a huge win from it all. And I'm sure Matty's not going to be talking negatively like that as much in the future, realizing I said some dumb comments. I'm sure Taylor and her are like, dude, I got a brand. Please be more careful. And yeah, we're not out there canceling people. And then Taylor's not afraid of being with a guy who's going to admit these types of things. Maybe that's why she likes him, guys. Let's keep it a buck, right? So at the end of the day, all this drama, all this stuff about Taylor, all the backlash, she's fighting back against the culture war, and I think one of the most brilliant ways possible. So I say, Queen, all hail the Queen. I got your back more than ever. What do you guys think? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Hit that bell, hit that thumbs up, hit that comment. Do you disagree with me? Do you see where I took you on this journey? Do you see the backlash, and are you impressed with what Taylor did, or are you offended? Are you offended like the people on Twitter? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Tell me what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Popcorn Planet. I hope you liked all these bank videos. We got more coming for you, so stay tuned.